What's up everyone, I'm Duncan Knee-Deep from Team We Disney, just here to remind you that you can still pick up an MBL t-shirt in the link in the description down below to support the teams of the MBL. It's a fantastic shirt and you should definitely check it out.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the MBL. My name is Jason Senpai and I'm here with the coaches of Team Leeki, Hibiki and Lee Provost. How are you guys doing today?
Good, thanks. How are you, mate?
I'm great. Hibiki, how are you?
I'm also here, and you're not my senpai.
Oh, I'm somebody's senpai. The jury's still out. But thank you guys for coming today to do this interview. We've been talking to the other coaches, just trying to get a feel for, you know, the people behind the teams. So I think the best place to start would be with what you guys think of the MBL so far, because you're new coaches here in Season 2, and I imagine it's a little different than what you're used to in terms of competitive Pokemon.
I think this is actually a good question for me because you guys may or may not know it that I've not really enjoyed playing VGC lately. So doing this is actually like a very nice change of pace for me. As you said, it's very different from VGC, especially because you have, a partner you have to play it with together. But in terms of, the actual gameplay and stuff, I've been enjoying it a lot lately. The format is a lot of fun. I really like the draft format, the tiering system. So everybody has, like balanced teams. You get to use a lot of Pokemon that you might usually not use in VGC, so that's kind of neat. I think we have a really cool draft, so that probably adds to that, and overall I really enjoyed it a lot.
Nice. What do you think, Lee?
Yeah, a lot of the same. I think it's just amazing just being a part of, I watched a lot of the MBL last season. Duncan, I got talking with him UK Nationals last year, and he was like, dude, get a YouTube channel, you can play on it, I'll totally have you on. I was like, oh my god, right, okay. So from that point on, I was like, in the back of my head, I was like, I've always wanted to kind of do a YouTube channel and anything, but I think that was like a big push from Duncan to kind of motivate me to do it, because that was like one of the big draws. I was like, I've got to play with these guys. It's like full of like the top YouTubers, the top VGC players. I was like, and it's just like super fun format where it's like totally out of the norm. We like VGC players, we get bogged down sometimes where you get frustrated with how a season's gone, and you kind of, I was getting to the point last year where I just wasn't enjoying Pokemon as much as what I had been. And I think being a part of the MBL, and a lot like what Alex has said, it's kind of like really invigorating to play a new format like this, where we've got that draft system and we've got totally unique Pokemon that we'd never ever get a chance to play, and the whole team building together and stuff like that. It's just amazing. I'm loving every minute of it. It's brilliant.
That's great. Speaking of the whole partner thing that you both mentioned, how's it been working together so far this season? Have you guys been gelling? Has one person been taking the lead more? I don't know. What's the dynamic like behind the scenes?
Lovely. Instead of that, yeah. So basically, it's a lot of fun. I think we have really great synergy with each other. Like, we both have very similar team building styles. I think, thinking outside of the box and trying more to like go against the meta game instead of going with it. I think that kind of connects us there, and it actually makes for a really great team building experience. So it's actually very even in terms of actual team building. So it's not like one of us takes the lead and the other just like kind of goes with it. But every week one of us gives some input, the other one gives some input as well, and it all just falls together nicely because of how similar we are in our team building approaches. So I really enjoy that about Lee. That's why I think he's probably the best partner I could have asked for this league.
Oh, nice. I obviously feel the same. I think like Alex I think like the one thing I love about like the dynamics between both of us, like he said, like we're both on the same wavelength most of the time. But what I've kind of really enjoyed is where sometimes when we kind of get together and we're discussing team matchups and stuff, there'll be stuff that I'll miss that he'll pick up on, and kind of I hope it works kind of vice versa, where I'll pick up on something, and I feel like we both really support like each other's ideas and like fully back each other. I think like if one of us is like really strongly feeling like this is what we need to go over this week, I always feel like the other one, whatever situation it is, and the other one's always like, yeah, well, that's what we'll go for. We're gonna like back you up on this idea that this week, and it seems to kind of come together really nicely. We haven't had, and touch wood here, we haven't had any like arguments or really big like fallouts over anything. We always kind of really kind of come to an end point where we're both really happy with how we kind of are going into that match that week. So yeah, it feels really easy, like working with Alex, and I love it. Yeah, he's perfect. And like there's times where we've had weeks where he's had stuff going on and like I've had stuff going on, and like he'll pick up for me when like I can't be around so much. And it's really nice just having that kind of relationship where we know we can kind of rely on each other quite nicely.
That sounds beautiful, guys, and one that I'm sure all the other coaches are quite jealous of. So you guys are 3-4 this season, which is unfortunately negative record-wise. This is now going into week 8, and you guys have a plan to get yourself back in contention for Top Cut? Because I don't think you're that far outside, even though you guys have a negative record.
Considering that all the other teams that we're still facing are bad, I think we still have a good shot at getting a Top Cut. I'm just kidding. Like, no disrespect to any of the teams. But real talk, we've had some very, very tough opponents already, like Team Cyberbass, Team Drinking Birds, and also Team Greenball. So arguably also Team Draft-wise, our toughest matchups are lying behind us mostly. There's one team that we are still slightly afraid of, which I'm not going to tell you. It's a secret.
I'm sure it isn't not Skull.
Not saying anything, but as I said, yeah, so one team that might still give us trouble in terms of drafts, but other than that, we've looked at the matchups ahead of us, and we're very confident we can go 4-0 for the remaining of the season, which would give us a very easy run into Top Cut with a 7-3 finish.
Yeah, I kind of think like along the similar lines. I feel like we've played some, like, we can't ever take anyone for granted. Like, I think every team is going to be super strong and not easy at all. So we need to really like up our game pretty much every week going into these last, is it like 4 games we've got left, I think? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like, I think like now, I keep saying in our videos, like next week's the crunch game, this one's the crunch. But I think really now it's like time to like really knuckle down, not get complacent. And like, I think like, even though we've played probably some of our hardest matchups in the tournament so far, I don't think it's any need for us to kind of really get complacent now or get a bit complacent thinking that we've got easier matchups. I think every team at this position's in the same kind of position as us, where if they almost win out, they stand a good chance to Top Cut as well. And you know, we just need to kind of be on our A game and make sure that we're getting the results, and not only getting the results, because that tiebreaker at the minute is pretty terrible. So we need to be getting big wins, I think. And like, if we can do that in the next couple of weeks, I think that's going to give us the momentum to really push on to make the cut if we can. But I feel like, I think Team Drinking Birds is probably, for me at least, our hardest matchup that we've had, just because of their draft. And I feel like a bit of a weight's been lifted off our shoulders slightly. And this isn't to be disrespectful to any other teams, but I think for us it's going to be a lot easier kind of team building and getting a game plan down for the final games that we've got left. So I still feel confident about going into the last few games, but like I said, we don't want to get complacent at all, because it's Pokemon at the end of the day, and you know, anyone can win on any given day. So we just need to make sure that we're doing what we've been doing and just kind of up our game as we go into the closing stages of this season.
Absolutely. Speaking of team building, I think it's always interesting to learn about the process that different players use to come up with your teams each week. So could you walk us through what that usually looks like for you two?
Yeah, sure. So basically what we're doing is at the beginning of the season, I've set up a Google Doc for Lee and me. So what we've done is we've copied all the teams at the corresponding weeks into the sheet. And, you know, whenever we feel like it, we can like just like do some brainstorming on any given week. You know, write down some ideas, maybe like possible Pokemon we want to pick for that matchup, possible threats there. Some things Lee's been doing is, you know, write down, you know, wonky moves that Pokemon might have, you know, like the weird move sets that we could run into that we need to be aware of. So basically what we do is some initial brainstorming, and then we just like sit down, be like, hey, when do you have time? Maybe we can discuss our matchup, and then we hop on Discord, get a voice chat, and then we just like walk through the matchup as well as we can. And we pretty much get it done in 1 or 2 sessions mostly. So what we do is we just really like work together on our ideas, you know, flesh out a team. What I usually do is ask Lee to maybe come up with some damage calculations for EV spreads. So he's really good at that stuff, and I'm less good at that stuff, so I usually leave that to him. And, we just like try to look at any given matchup, from all angles. We just try to figure out good moves for our mods. We try to figure out our game plan. We have many different modes in our team. We have like Tailwind, we have Trick Room in terms of speed control, and also we have, Hail mode, and we can rely more on the Necrozma. So there's like many different ways we can play our draft. So we try to figure out the best way to play the team for each week.
Nice. And Lee, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you guys drafted the team, and if you figured out a game plan as the draft went on, or if you guys kind of got what you were looking for out of it.
Yeah, it was kind of weird because the way the draft worked, so it was the snake draft. So we were, I think, last pick, but we got 2 picks. And I think like the week before the actual draft took place, Alex kind of got in touch with me, and we kind of both came to the conclusion that we'd probably lose out on a lot of the top tier stuff that we would kind of maybe go for in the first instance, like the Tapus and stuff like that. So Alex identified and kind of jumped on Necrozma and said like, dude, if we can get Necrozma, which at the time I had no idea about. What's Necrozma? What does this thing need to do? What type is it? I don't even know. It just looks badass. Is it actually good? And normally when a Pokemon looks badass, it's normally pretty trash. So I was like, is it actually any good? But then I had a look at it and I was like, it's not too bad. It's got a really good ability. It's got good typing, and its move pool's not bad. Kind of when Alex kind of first said, like, let's go for Necrozma, we get 2 picks. He kind of said like Necrozma and then Mega Gyarados, and that was like, okay, that's our starting point. And then from there we kind of made sure we got the Sylveon, which again was nice synergy with the Gyarados. And then we kind of just picked stuff up as we went along. It got a little bit harder towards the end, but we kind of got together a few times, and we kind of messaging each other through the whole week, kind of with just ideas of what we could pick from certain like tiers to make up the squad in the end. I think we do lack some coverage in certain areas, but the majority of the draft, I think, I was super happy with. I think we got some really nice picks in there and some just nice options to kind of go forward with, but overall I was super happy with it.
Nice. Beryl and Angus were asked a very interesting question that I also want to ask you guys. What do you guys think so far how the analysts are doing in terms of correctly getting in your mindset and thinking along the same things? Like, do we kind of have a beat on you? Do we have no idea what we're talking about? I wonder what you guys think of that whole dynamic of listening every week to people, talk about how you played or what you're planning and all that stuff. So anything you have to say about that, I'd be happy to hear about it.
I really enjoy it. I think you guys are doing a really good job. And I think for the most part, you've kind of got us down, really. I think we are playing it some weeks quite safe, but then again, when like in a lot of situations, like playing it safe where we're going with the Trick Room mode and trying to utilize the Rhyperior and things like that, and we're not busting out big strategies and things like that. I think it's been against teams where we almost maybe couldn't get away with it so much, and we have to kind of go with that more solid game plan where we think, although this is the safer game plan, this is what's actually going to get us the win. So we're not going to pull out any big fancy fireworks and stuff like that. That was one thing that I think I picked up on, and it did get me thinking like, we should probably be trying to get more out of the team than maybe that we haven't been so far. And we have been playing it, I think, a bit straight down the line, and maybe that's kind of cost us in some matches where we've been, a bit predictable. But then again, in the same light as saying that, like, a team can prepare for that Trick Room mode, but if they've got nothing, if we get that Trick Room mode set up and we get a board position out, say with the Rhyperior and whatever with the Abomasnow next to it, then there's not a lot some teams can actually do against that. I mean, like Team Jamie was a good example of that, where we didn't really do anything fancy, we just played it straight down the line. And if we hadn't got that second Iron Head flinch, we would have probably won the game against them, and that would have put us into a completely different position going into like this conversation now about us having to really play out of our skin for the last 4 matches to make cut, where we might have been able to take our foot off the gas a bit and maybe pull out a few different tricks and things like that. And against Team Dream Ball, we had the Celebrate Sylveon strategy, which we just, we probably maybe shouldn't have played it against Marcus and Wolf, because they're probably the 2 players that would kind of pick up on that and be able able to kind of adapt to that quicker than probably any of the other teams in the MBL season. And that's not a like detriment to anyone else playing the season. It's just to kind of show how good they are as players. And I would like to be all fancy firework, pull out some huge game plays and things like that. It's just when to do it. And I think picking the moment right without kind of jeopardizing our position and making sure that we get, like, the most important thing in the minute for us is making sure we get to top cut. And I think if we can just do that, then, you know, once we're there, we can kind of show off a bit more when we're there. But other than that, I think the analysts are doing a great job. Everything you kind of say is, I love listening to the entire shows that you guys do and the 5 best moves of the week and things like that to check if we're there and things like that. So I think what you guys are doing is amazing. Just keep up the good work.
Hey, Vicky, what do you think?
I'm pretty sure you know what I think. No, actually, yeah, I'm with Lee on this one. You've been doing great work. All of these analyses and, you know, all the little extra stuff you do for the viewers of the MBL has been awesome. I'm pretty sure everybody enjoys that a lot. And, you know, for me as a player in the MBL, I also enjoy interacting with you guys. You're all very nice and, you know, quite good insight on all of that stuff. And, you know, you and me, we have this, you know, special relationship too. So I enjoy that.
Oh yeah, I'm your favorite.
You're totally your favorite, Jason. So yeah, you guys are doing great work, and you're definitely a great addition to the MBL, and hope you guys are here to stay around.
I think we are. That's a pretty good place to wrap it up here. We've been going for a while, so thank you both for taking the time to sit down with me and have a little chat. Appreciate you guys coming out. Any last words, any shout outs you want to give to the Leeki fans out there before we wrap it up?
Yeah, just a shout out to everyone that is supporting us and just
all 5 of you.
Hey, you guys got Fumido, you know. I see him in the Discord repping you guys, so.
Yeah, we do have some very dedicated fans, even if they're few in numbers. So everybody who's been showing their support for our team, thanks to you guys. You keep us going. Hope we deliver in the last 4 weeks, and hope we get some more fans in the run.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, just to second what Hibiki said. And thanks, Jason, mate. It's been a pleasure coming on and chatting with you, mate. Hope we can do it again sometime.
Oh yeah, maybe, you know, maybe see you guys in Top Cut. We'll do some finals interviews or something. But in the meantime, that's it from me and us. So thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like the video if you enjoyed this. Let us know in the comments what you thought. Subscribe if you haven't. Check out all the coaches. Check out all the videos. Buy a shirt. Whatever else YouTubers are supposed to say at the end of videos. And have a good rest of your day.